Are with me tonight. Bill Kristol is the editor of the Weekly Standard, and Matt Schlapp is the chairman of the American Conservative Union, who is the former political director for President George W. Bush. Gentlemen, good to have both of you on. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Good evening, by the way. Big shakeup today in the Trump campaign with the hiring of Steve Bannon. You know him well. You say bringing him onto the Trump team is an excellent idea. Why?
Yeah, I think Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon, I think this is great news for all Republicans and conservatives and independents who are supporting Donald Trump for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think Kellyanne has great experience and will really be there with the candidate as message becomes incredibly important in the final 3 months. And for Steve Bannon, someone I do know well, have a high regard for, this is someone who really understands 21st century digital media. And he's built a bit of a empire on the right online, and he understands its importance. He understands how important it is to get messages out in a crisp, clear fashion. And I think it's exactly what the Trump campaign needs. I think we all know, all of us who are supporting him, know what he needs to do from a message perspective. The question is, are they going to actually start doing it?
Interesting. So Trump's speech last night, Matt, reading prepared remarks from a teleprompter, went very well with conservatives, but sources tell CNN that we should expect to see more big rallies, less teleprompter. I mean, that's the environment where Trump, his off-the-cuff style, gets him into trouble, right?
Let me give some advice here, okay? So I guess I could pick either one of those as to which one is preferred. I don't think that's what this let Trump be Trump thing is really all about. I think what I would love to see, when he really popped and made the most favorable impression with voters, is when he went out there and talked in a calmer fashion with his kids around, quite honestly. Whenever one of his children is with him at an event, they kind of explain things that it's harder, clearly, for the candidate to do. He's more likable. His greatest achievements are those children. And I would encourage them to continue to use the kids as they go forward. It's only a couple of months, and I think it puts their father in the best possible light.
Okay, so now to Mr. Kristol. So, Bannon's hiring, described on your magazine's website today by Stephen Hayes, says this. This is in part. It says the campaign overhaul means that Trump is choosing to end his campaign living in the alternate reality that Breitbart creates for him on a daily basis, where everything he does is the best, where everyone who questions him is an idiot or a traitor, where big rallies portend electoral victories, where House Speaker Paul Ryan is a problem with modern conservatism, where polls that find him down are fixed, where elections he loses are rigged, where immigration and trade are the nation's most pressing issues, and where truly Trump alone can fix it all. I mean, you guys should say how you really feel. Yeah. But I mean, you think that Bannon just reinforces Trump's bad habits?
Yeah, Trump has hired like a mini-me. I mean, Trump needs, it's probably too late now, honestly. People have seen Trump for a long time. 62% of the American people disapprove of him. 80% think he's not qualified to be president. Matt's advice is fine. Let the kids come on stage. Maybe that'll go from 62 to 61%. But people are electing a president. They're not electing someone whose kids happen to like him. Bannon runs this Breitbart news site. It's its own reality. This is the site that said Paul Ryan in deep trouble in his Wisconsin primary. That was their analysis. That wasn't. They wanted him to lose, of course.
He won by 80-some%.
And he won by 84 to 16. This is the site that says all the polls that you see that CNN does and Washington Post and Wall Street Journal that show Trump down 9, 12, 14 in swing states, all phony, all rigged. So Trump decided to get someone who would, be a yes man and reinforce his worst instincts. And incidentally, it's been successful, I suppose, financially, Breitbart News, but it's a terrible thing what Bannon has done.
What's their role, though, that they play in the conservative media? The reason I ask is because you've had your run-ins. With Breitbart treatment, you've gotten some name-calling. A headline once called you a Republican spoiler, renegade Jew.
Well, isn't that interesting, right? I mean, I didn't react too much to the renegade Jew thing because I don't want to make a big deal of it. I think it's kind of disgusting, though, honestly. I mean, we have plenty of debates. We have plenty of debates on the right, as people do on the left. Yeah. We don't normally attack people for their religion or ridicule them in some way. Or it's totally inappropriate to say. Why was I a renegade Jew, incidentally? You know why? Because I didn't like Donald Trump, and I didn't realize that unless Donald Trump was elected president, the state of Israel was in danger. Really, I think I have a pretty long record of fighting pretty hard for the state of Israel. Yeah. And I think a lot of serious people don't think that Donald Trump needs to be president to save the state of Israel. But for not agreeing with that, I was a renegade Jew. That was Stephen Bannon's headline, I'm told. He put it on the website as a way to get traffic because, as Matt said, hey, they're doing great financially. You put a headline like that up, you get a lot of traffic. Is that the kind of person? Is that the kind of person you want running a presidential campaign?
Go ahead, Matt.
I always find it's interesting when people say, Donald Trump and maybe some of his allies throw out these charges and use inappropriate language. But you just read what Stephen Hayes said on your website. You know, I really think that's over the line, too. The fact is that this year, a lot of us have been wrong in our predictions. It's been a heck of a strange year in politics. We're all conservatives. We're all Republicans, most of us. We ought to give each other grace. You expect Donald Trump to do that. I think that's fair.
I don't ask for any grace. I don't ask for any grace. I don't go around attacking people on the basis of their religion or their ethnicity or their race.
Well, Matt, to the point, Matt, I will let you finish. But when I read here, I didn't hear any name calling. Basically, he's quoting saying, you know, that anyone who questions him is an idiot or a traitor. I didn't see anything like renegade Jew. And you have seen the bombastic headlines from Breitbart. Go on, finish, make your point.
Yeah, my only point is that if Bill's to be fair, if he talks about Breitbart's ability to do analysis and predict, I think the Weekly Standard has to be honest that they've been wrong in a ton of their predictions. A lot of us have this year. And the fact is this, which is, like it or don't like it.
And he's not hiring me. Not hiring me as his campaign manager, thank God, you know. But
well, I don't know. I think you do a good job, Bill. You did a good job for Dan Quayle. I think you're a talented person. But I think when you get down to this, has nothing to do with BreitbartNews.com. This is about this campaign in the last 30 days, in the last 3 months, and what it needs to do. And I actually think somebody who understands digital media as they move into the advertising portion of this campaign, somebody who understands the idea of getting your message, and somebody who can talk to Donald Trump and who he will listen to, I think is critical at this stage. I think every person who supports Donald Trump should look at these changes as nothing but positive.
Yeah. Here, look, Steve Bannon and Kellyanne Conway, they've never really run a major campaign, a presidential campaign. Kellyanne has been involved in national campaigns at a high level, and there's also Paul Manafort still in the tent. Any concerns about how this is all going to, this is going to work in practice?
Look, it's going to be great. Manafort will give the pro-Putin point of view in the meetings. Trump will discuss how much fun it is to make fun of disabled people and POWs and Gold Star families. The fellow from Breitbart, what's his name again? I can't even remember. Bannon's going to talk about how it's fun to insult people for their religion and whip up.
But those are all insults. Those are all insults.
No, you're being silly, Matt. You're being silly.
No, I think.
Is Manafort work for Putin's guy in Ukraine or not?
Look, I think the charges that you want to make like that the facts show to be true, I think that's very fair. But I don't think this kind of like, if you're going to throw out these things about these people,
do you defend what Trump said?
Do you defend what Trump
said? Do you defend what Trump said about Mr. Khan?
I'm going to defend the fact that Steve Bannon and Kellyanne Conway are good decisions for this campaign. I think they're actually going to help this campaign, and I'd like to see our coverage of this campaign, the things we're talking about here today, be about these issues. I think that's the right thing to do. Let's talk about the differences between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton for the next 3 months. I think it'd be good for the country.
But there is some worry inside the campaign that Bannon is going to dig up the coffin for the debates with Clinton. Is there going to be a rehashing of all the attacks on the Clintons from the 1990s? I think that's a concern. You first, Matt.
I think that if they're going to focus on the 1990s, that's a big mistake. I think what this election is about is the fact that Washington is broken, our economy needs to get revving again, and that we have this fight with radical Islamic terror, and Hillary Clinton is corrupt and is not the person to fix these problems. Every day they're not talking about that is a day they're losing. Going back to the 1990s isn't the solution. Yeah. There are plenty of Clinton scandals going on right before our eyes.
I got 10 seconds. Let him in. Go ahead, Bill.
They brought Matt in, who actually has political experience. He would do a good job advising Donald Trump. But he doesn't want people like Matt. He wants someone like Steve Bannon.
Thank you, Joe.